got a couple of topics we're going to go on, but we're going to start off like firstly talking about PUBG Corporation's announcements on Twitter, which I think it came out. I want to say a week ago. I think it was a week ago. Those of you who aren't aware, at the PUBG Global Invitational that happened in the summer in Berlin, they made the announcement of PUBG Pro League, okay, which is going to be launching in 2019. It's Bluehole and PUBG Corporation's big backing to the PGI tournament. It's their sort of feeder into the World Championship, if you will. They're talking about putting a lot of money into it. They're going to be running leagues that are going to be operating in North America, Europe, China, and South Korea, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And they haven't said a lot more about it since PGI until, and I've got the dates up in front of me now, it was September the 14th, which is literally a week ago today.
Right.
And the announcement that they made was from 2019, these global rules will apply to all pro-level PUBG esports competitions. Now, I want to really specifically note this. All pro-level PUBG esports competitions. Implication being this is potentially more than just the Pro League. This is something that they might be enforcing upon the third-party tournaments as well.
Right, which I think is a very big thing. I mean, because
huge.
They released basically two, I guess, roles or whatever you want to call it, so far that are going to apply to these things. And the number one role that a lot of people have been really, kind of up in arms about, for a lack of better words, is it says any player who is under 18 years of age will not be eligible to play. Now, a lot of the pro players are over the age of 18, but you do have a lot of the, younger talent that is getting into the semi-pro league or, even making it onto pro teams that, quite frankly, aren't over the age of 18. So, I mean, I wonder how that's going to affect, current teams, organizations, and what's going to happen in, the upcoming the tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting rule and statistic. Now, if we view the sort of aspiration to use a traditional sports sort of term, particularly with regards to the United States, like where you're based, to go and play in the NHL, the NFL, and all of these things, you have to have completed college. So the notion of this sort of like, they don't want kids under the age of 18 taking part in it, I'm not actually myself desperately adverse to. Okay,
mm-hmm.
I kind of think it is, when you become a professional, and this is one of the things that I want some people to understand is the term professional when I use that. I think with that comes a certain degree of maturity and age requirements in its own right. However, there is a knock-on impact to that, which is the implication on players that are under 18. And the reason I bring this up is because over the past 10 years of what I refer to as modern esports, there are so many examples of under 18 players that have proven to be absolutely God's gift.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at CSGO right now, playing for the Na'Vi squad, formerly with Team Liquid in the United States, and prior to that, Hellraisers, the best CSGO player in the world, according to most, is a guy called Simple. The guy is 20 years old. He's been playing pretty much the highest level CSGO for 4 years, give or take.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
It's been a while. I mean, I remember when I first saw him on the scene play for Hellraisers, he was a toxic 16-year-old kid with so much freaking skill.
Yep.
And look what the journey that he's been through has been. But if he hadn't have had the opportunity to play on some of the teams that he did do when he was 16, 17 years old, before he moved to Team Liquid when he was only 18.
Right.
Maybe he wouldn't be this world-class person that we're talking about today. Similarly, if you go back to the 1.6 era, the likes of Forrest and Get Right, they were all young kids when they first started out playing. If you look at some of the top talents within League of Legends, famously Reckless was the Swedish AD carry, was unable to play in the first eligible season of the LCS because he simply wasn't old enough to play. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So it's a very interesting rule to put into place.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, and there are CS:GO is a game that comes to mind whenever you have this under 18 players, pro players. Just even naming a few others like Nothing. A lot of the kids from Cloud9, whenever they were pro, before they were on Cloud9. whenever they were pro players back in the 1.6 days, they were all around. I think Nothing started playing as a pro at age 14, maybe, or maybe he was semi-pro at 14 and then was put onto a pro team around 15. So there's a lot of implications. I think that this will affect the younger talent who are trying to get into the scene. You do bring up a good point though about over here in NA, if you're trying to play, in the NHL or, the NFL, play college or anything like that, you have to finish college. So you have to be at least 18 because, that's when you get into college, right? So it's definitely an interesting take that they're starting to do that to esports now. And I'm really just curious to see are other, games going to start adapting this and what it's going to do to the organizations, really.
Yeah, it's weird you bring up Jordan, actually, Nothing, formerly Cloud9, is you're absolutely right. He started playing for his first major team. In fact, he got his first major result when he was only 16 years old.
Yeah.
So it's, it's absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what's the cost? What's the implications of that? Not just to the up and coming talent and whatnot, but also specifically to the teams right now, if that makes sense. Wow! Yeah. Holy cow! We've got like an angel in chat.
We have a celebrity in chat. Hi Panda, how are you?
I was gonna say Mustache Dave and Panda.
And Panda, that's right. We have two celebrities. Yes.
Officially famous. Thanks for joining us. Yes. It's awesome to have you along. But no, I think you're right. Now, the other interesting piece of news that came out in the same one, I think is potentially even more impactful. Notably, I think to your region more so than mine. Which is point 2 of their rules status was each team must include in its roster at least 3 legal citizens or permanent residents from its region. So in the case of like North America, that would probably be like Canada, the United States, potentially LATAM as well, depending on how they're looking to balance out that region. I know they say North America, but like that covers a multitude of cities these days.
Yeah, no, it really does. Yeah. No, and that is a big one. I mean, even if you look, I don't know how many teams right now are split up, with multi-regions in the PUBG scene. But I mean, just look at CS:GO back, a few years ago, let's say 3 to 4 years ago, you had your French teams and Swedish teams and your North American teams. But then we had that crazy shuffle that everybody just started switching up. Players started going to wherever that they wanted to go to. I mean, you have MIBR now, the so-called super team that are made up of, you have Brazilians, you have North Americans, and I think we have one other region on there. So how is that all going to play out, for in PUBG, for example? You only have, if it's squads, it's 4 people, and 3 of those people need to be in the same region. So you're really not going to be able to... Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if we use a very specific example, I think perhaps the greatest one to talk about at the moment is Dignitas. So the reason this is an interesting example right now is this. So Dignitas is currently first place in OGA. Okay, the tournament's happening right at the moment. It's happening over the next 4 days on challenge mode, by the way.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, just throwing that out there. It's hashtag sellout. But OGA is, first place team is Dignitas, and there's 2 North Americans and 2 Danes. That team won't be able to exist as of 2019.
Right, and 2019, I mean, we're in September. We're almost in, October right now, so we're very close to this. So I think organizations, specifically for PUBG right now, they need to take a look at this and figure out what they're going to do. Because, I mean, right there, first place team Dignitas. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen next year.
Yeah, it's massively impactful. Guys, can you get some hypes up in chat for Small Troll? Small, I know I had some bad news yesterday, sweetheart, and as we've told you before with this amazing community of Wild Bills and mine, much love to you, sweetheart. I
agree, Troll. And we're always here for you. We always tell you that we're always here for you. So
yeah, straight up, genuinely mean that. Anywho, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I think it's really, really impactful. And it's going to have a real change in terms of how the sort of the team dynamics and things go about. But also, interestingly enough, I think it will have a situation and an impact in terms of the player base and the things in terms of how you actually go around building and constructing a team as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's way more than just this like Dignitas team. I mean, I've always had I mean, I've had way more. I've always had this insight of the fact that you take people on to be the best people within their roles. Now,
Right.
one of the interesting things between sort of Europe, which largely speaks English as an esports language
Yeah.
outside of the very regionalized teams, okay, um, or indeed the countries where perhaps English isn't as fluent. That's why typically and historically you've seen like German teams being German players. You've had French teams being French players, Eastern Europeans playing under Eastern Europeans. But within like the Nordics, the UK, and several of the other countries, you often see this crossover of people all coming together and speaking English under one voice. And
Right.
you're able to cross over into North America because, you know, we share a common language, if that makes sense.
Yep. Exactly.
And we'll tie this into the when we move into super teams later on in terms of that conversation, which is that, you know, like limiting people in this way really limits you in terms of being able to build the best squad. You know, if you got someone like Liquid 112, Steve, who owns Team Liquid, like he's well known for splashing the cash to pick up the best players that he can for his squads. Well, if he's in a situation where it's like, yeah, I can't actually do that anymore.
And now I need to limit myself to a region, and you're not going to get the best bang for your buck per se.
No, exactly. I mean, like, you know, what you're essentially saying is I'm getting the best players from that region, not necessarily the best players in the world.
Right. Which that, I mean, I know we talked about the first one, the 18 years, you know, you have to be 18 years old. Not to us, or, you know, not to me at least, not a huge deal. I mean, it does affect the upcoming talent, but this one right here, I mean, obviously for us old guys, it doesn't affect us.
Yeah,
But,
I was going to say, like,
this,
you know,
yeah.
I'm way past it.
Yeah, way past that age.
You guys have seen me playing PUBG. That was never going to happen anyway.
So, no, but this second point, though, I think that's a very big thing, and how teams or organizations are going to have to base, obviously, like you said, what they're going to do. And I like that they put in this little announcement that this gives organizations ample time to, you know, set up their rosters for 2019. I think we have a different definition of ample, you know, because that's not a lot of time. I mean, these guys are contracted.
Well,
so,
you know, you've hit something really, really interesting there, which is the word contracted. Okay?
Exactly.
So, you know, like some of us have been in and around the industry a while, and we know a little bit of an understanding about contracts and stuff. Now, PUBG is a new sport, okay, a new esport. Actually, the contracts aren't that long. You know, most of them are playing on 6 to 12-month contracts, but I mean, per se, that you were a team that had just like re-signed your roster in like the end of August.
Yeah. What are you gonna do now?
September, October, November, December, January, February. I mean, you're basically facing like, you know, a sort of a 2-month crossover here where that might not necessarily all come together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so if you do just that 6 month, like you said, okay, so you have 2 months into the year of 2019 where they're contracted, so you're going to have to pay that out. You know, you're going to have to pay 2 months of salary, or, you know, whatever is agreed on inside of that contract, when they might not even be playing for you anymore. That team might not even be doing anything for you. So, I personally, you know, I don't agree with the ample amount of time for teams and organizations to figure it out for 2019. But I guess PUBG Corp, you know, they talked to, you know, they discussed it between themselves, and they thought it was enough time, or, you know, I don't know.
I mean, they must have had some consideration around it. Now, the other thing to take into account is the knock-on impact with regards to certain regions. And the reason I brought up North America is that there are proportionally more Europeans playing in North America right now than there are Americans playing in Europe. I can think of like literally a handful of Americans playing in Europe, whereas there's actually a lot of Europeans playing in North American teams right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, just for example, I don't mean to cut you off, but, you know, my hometown, the Pittsburgh Knights, they are located here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is obviously, you know, NA, and their entire roster is EU. So
yeah, exactly. So and that's an interesting one in its own right, isn't it? So is Pittsburgh an NA team, or is Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
an
what
EU
are we?
team?
Yeah. So when I actually first found out we had a team, I was so excited. I was like, a nice NA team, like, let's go. Of course, I'm gonna try out, right? Everybody EU. I was like, okay, well, you know.
Well, I was going to say, like, so the impact of this is that if you're suddenly an NA team, okay, with like 2 Europeans on your roster, and you need to get rid of one of them and sign yourself an NA player, subsequently the value of NA players has just shot through the roof.
Yeah, so good. Maybe I do have a chance still, man. You know. For 2019, who knows?
Let's go with that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, seriously though, seriously, the value of players is going to shoot through the roof. So if you're a good player on a good NA roster, actually the opportunities for you making some fat bucks or a team selling you to another roster suddenly becomes freaking insane.
That's actually that's a very good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
stock is going to go up.
Yeah, the stock of being a North American player, and we've seen it within other sports as well. So League of Legends is very famous for having a roster lock, okay? So essentially on a League of Legends squad, you can only have 2 non-NA players or 2 non-European players playing on your roster. Now, within NA, what that basically means is that North American good players are really freaking highly valued because, and I mean this with huge respect to NA. Obviously, much love to our brothers over the pond, but y'all shit. Okay,
damn. Okay, just throwing it out there. Shit.
Yeah. So if you're like a good NA player, your value is worth way more right now than it is within if you were not. North America. I mean, there's like next to no North Americans playing within Europe because our depth is just way too high, if that makes sense.
I mean, they always say EU's better than NA, and I think that goes towards every PC game, or at least that's what it seems to be in the PC gaming world. Is EU is always better than NA, but no, I 100% agree with what you're saying. Yes,
but
yes.
Yeah, just getting that one in there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the simple reality is that that's just it's going to change the value of player stocks and things within certain regions, and I think that's going to be really impactful. And I just don't know if that's something that's been overly considered yet. And I'll tell you now that there are definitely going to be some people that have realized it and will be potentially pushing the player stock, basically monetizing nationality as opposed to skill in some respects. And I just kind of feel as though that might potentially be damaging towards the esport as a whole in something which is still, at the end of the day, only a year old. It isn't terribly well established right now. Being a professional player within PUBG right now is very, very difficult because monetization of it hasn't been particularly realized. So it's a pretty interesting one, and I'm gonna watch this space. I mean, I think this is definitely,
obviously very big news, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. They do say that they're going to release more information in Q4 of this year, which is coming up. But for the likes of yourself, for Challenger Mode and everything, I mean, I think this impact affects everybody. It's not just affecting the organizations. It's going to, I think, affect the tournament organizers and everything. DreamHack, Challenger Mode, anything like that. So I think everybody is going to feel the effect of these roles once 2019 hits. So it will be interesting to see what happens.
No, I couldn't agree more. And the thing is you're absolutely right. With the way that it's been worded, it's gonna impact the likes of GLL, the likes of Challenger Mode, the likes of Awesome, World Series of Esports, PUBG Online, all of these different sort of leagues. I'm happy to give a shout out to all of our competitors because the simple reality of it is it's them who give the scene what it is. We're a platform.
And don't forget Championship Arena as
well. Championship Arena. By the way, end of this month, 29th, is it? Or 28th?
Yeah, 29th. Championship Arena Duos Tournament. Just throwing it out there. Hosted on Challenger Mode.
Hosted on Challenger Mode. That's right. Fuck me, man. Are we the worst sellouts in the world? No, seriously, all joking aside, the simple reality of it is that, it's going to affect all of these sort of professional leagues, as they would call it. So I think it's an interesting space. I think it's an interesting decision. I'm very curious to see what the Q4 more information comes out with. And the reason that I think the whole, and this was another thing that I actually felt was potentially even more damaging than these announcements, which is, oh wow, I've got a sneeze coming, man. Wow. Okay.
I was gonna say I don't want to talk because sometimes when people talk, it throws it off. So I was gonna just wait it out and let you sneeze.
No, I just can't. Let's hope it goes away. But no, the other reason I bring it in is this: is these 2 points that they've announced in September 14th of this year
Yes.
are very, very impactful to the teams, the decisions that they're making. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's to say that the decisions or the announcements that come in quarter 4 aren't also, in some respects, equally impactful?
That's very true. I mean, they could drop another bomb. They could come
Yeah.
out and say, "Hey, we're removing the you need to be 18 to play, or the region lock per
Well,
se."
I
I mean,
don't. I don't think they'll take those away now. Now that they've been announced, but let's go out with one like this. Um, Players have a minimum salary.
oh, I need. Oh man, I didn't even think of that. I mean, that is a thing. I mean, if you think about like professional sports, not esports, that is the thing. I mean, teams have sometimes there's a minimum that you have for just being on the roster. Teams also like have a cap, right, where you cannot spend any more than this certain amount of money on your team. So I didn't even think about having like a ceiling and a floor basically for
Yeah.
salaries.
I mean, imagine if something like that got announced, all right, in quarter 4. Now, noticeably, if that got announced, because like the thing with quarter 4 is this: is quarter 4 is one of those beautiful things. Businesses like to use quarters for defining when they're going to announce things because that's 3 fucking months,
Right.
right?
Yes.
90 days, all right.
Yep.
Like quarter 4 defines day 1 and day 90. I can make the announcement anywhere in those and still fit into my fucking
Yep.
quarter.
Yep.
All right. And like the simple reality of it is like if that got announced on like, December 7th or something ridiculous like that, that leaves
Right.
you no time.
At all.
Yeah.
But according to them, hey, we told you we were going to do it in Q4, like you said, and there you go.
Yeah, and it's like Olympic teams. You're the ones that are like paying the players and all these kinds of things. So it's real interesting. It's really, really interesting for me to sit and see how this one develops. I think it's a pretty interesting story, and I'll tell you all now. Anyone who's tuning in and anyone who's watching this on repeats, or anyone who happens to watch this on YouTube or any of these kinds of things, this is a story we will follow. Okay, because I think the overall complexity of the situation right now is pretty interesting. Post the summer, we've seen a number of team swaps already. Famously, you've got the brothers, one from Liquid, one from FaZe, moving over to play at the same team.
Right.
Scoom leaving. Teams like the Alliance. He says wearing his Alliance jersey, dropping players. You've seen. You've seen multiple roster swaps at the moment, and like the thing is like. Number one, consistency in terms of performance is one of the key things to PUBG. It's not about like winning a chicken dinner and then like finishing shit in the next 4 rounds. It's way better to finish like 3rd or 4th every single round.
Right.
So like I think these like consistencies and the decisions and the team making decisions is just going to be absolutely pivotal for the next few months or whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm like I said, we've said it both, but we're excited to see what happens, and I can't wait for Q4, and hopefully we get it in the beginning of Q4 and not, towards the end.
Yeah, or if not, you guys can see us for our Christmas special episode.
Yeah, where we can finally have an update to talk about it.
Yeah, so we'll sit and see. Anywho, what did you want to talk about next then? Did you want to loosen your grip on your feelings towards COD?
We can talk about the Blackout if you want. I know did you play? I don't think you played the beta, did you?
I can't play at the moment because of my hand.
The hand, yes, okay.
But what I will say is that I have watched a lot of it, and I've spoken to a couple of close friends about it. So I spoke to a couple of close friends, some people that are, maybe some of you guys would have heard of. But I know a few people. I got some pretty good feedback on it.
Good. I don't have. I mean, I'm sure we could extend this topic a lot and talk about it, but I personally thought that the Black Ops 4 Battle Royale, which was called Blackout, was amazing. There were definitely some things that need to be tweaked. Some quality of life things that will definitely help the game exceed and continue to grow. But for being a beta, it ran very well. There were definitely, like I said, some issues. One of the biggest issues were with armor, where if you had a level 3 armor on, the vest and helmet, you were literally a bullet sponge. At some points, it would take an entire magazine, it felt like at least, to down an enemy or kill the enemy, which is pretty, unacceptable in a BR. It's not the multiplayer where you just die and respawn right away. What are you showing us?
Point 0.5 on my list.
Point 0.5 on your yeah. So the armor was definitely broken. So I'm hoping that they fix that, they tweak that. But the one nice thing that Treyarch has been doing with this entire release, they have been very transparent with what they're doing, what they plan on doing, what's broken, what they're going to fix. They actually have a presence on Reddit, which I don't know if anybody, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with what Reddit is. It's, I think, the 4th largest website in the world. But anyway, they actually have a representative on there who are addressing people's concerns. They are posting updates, what they plan on doing, and they actually put a very nice article out called the Blackout Beta Recap, where they basically go through and they say, listen, we heard your concerns. Here is a huge list of them below, and they addressed basically everything that I've heard a lot of bigger streamers say, complaints that I've personally had. So I'm excited for the game. Like I said, I think it really breathes a breath of fresh air into the BR scene, because right now you have your two biggest ones are going to be PUBG and Fortnite, and those are, I think, they're on different ends of the spectrum, right? If you are a hardcore PUBG player, you despise Fortnite. You don't like the building. You don't like the cartooniness of the game. You don't like that there is, the bloom on the weapons when you shoot. And then if you're a hardcore Fortnite player, you hate how, I guess, competitively paced that PUBG is. So I think that Call of Duty kind of sits somewhere in the middle. Obviously, I would think if it's going to lean to one or the other side, it would lean a little more towards Fortnite, where it's faster paced. You pick up a gun, you're ready to shoot, and there's not as much recoil as you have in PUBG weapons. But yeah, I think it's really going to be a nice addition to all of the BR games that we have currently.
I mean, the feedback I've had from it is overwhelmingly positive on the whole. I think a lot of the points that have been raised, and I spoke to 4 or 5 people about the game, and it's a game. It's potentially a game changer depending on how it's handled. So,
Right.
couple of things to sort of take into account. First things first, Frostbite engine. All right, Frostbite engine is, and historically will be, one of the greatest engines to build a game on. I'm not knocking Unreal or any of these other sort of packages that people are building it on, but Frostbite has historically been absolutely phenomenal, and I think you can see that in the early gameplay in terms of the fact that it is super smooth, but also interestingly super fast. Okay, which I think is interesting in its own right. So I got a lot of shout out, for them in terms of that. Second thing, it's a Blizzard Activision game. Love them or hate them, Blizz Activision do a good job on games.
They do
in terms of games, right?
Yes. Yeah, now they don't have many misses. We'll say.
Yeah, they don't have any misses.
All hits.
Now, yeah, there's a flip side to that, which is Blizz Activision have been sometimes a little bit ropey when it comes to esports.
Right, which I'm very, because they're going to make this an esports game, right? That's why they're getting into the BR scene. They see how big Fortnite is. They see how big PUBG is. Obviously, you want to get into this. I mean, even I don't really necessarily want to talk about this one, but Battlefield 5, they're getting into it as well. So everybody wants to get into this scene. So Blizzard is going to do that, especially with their Overwatch, their footprint they already have in esports. So, we'll see how it goes. But go ahead.
Which is the interesting thing, which is this is is it or are they? So the perspective of mine is if they can release it in such a way that they can monetize it massively, does it need to be an esport? Because I mean, straight out with you, if you can make an absolute shit ton of money off of something, it doesn't need to be an esport, because what you just do is release, what is it? What are we on now? 4 or something?
Black Ops
Black Ops.
4, yeah, but I mean, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 18 months time, I got Black Ops 5, coming out. I just milk the whole crowd again. FIFA do it every year, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
FIFA, Madden, NHL, they're always putting it out every year.
Yeah,
And but the crazy thing behind those though is they're trying to now make those esports. I mean, I don't mean to bring this tragedy up, but look what happened in Florida.
Madden.
They have the Madden tournaments now that they're trying to make esports. I mean, you have those with FIFA all the time. I even saw somewhere that NHL is trying to get into them. So
yeah, Rebel and Philip, my two colleagues, are flying over to the FIFA conference next week to discuss exactly those things.
Yeah, so
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Promistic says now we finally get to see Daniel's sexy face. Dude, like, you don't need to check here. What is it? Pornhub.com.
Yeah.
Anytime you want. But like the simple reality of it is that they don't even need to make it an esport. Like, they could probably just milk it on sales alone. But it does have the potential to be there. So I like the large majority of the points that I've noted down are things that I think need to be tuned or considered. But I want to know, if you could list me your top 5 things that you just think were stellar from Blackout, what's your sort of take on
stellar?
What are the things that you were just like, wow?
Well, the first thing was, and I don't know if I'm gonna get any shit for this, but I thought it was very well optimized for a beta. It runs better than PUBG does. Now I know that's not saying much, but optimization, and of course it's because of Treyarch and the engine and everything. But optimization I thought was great. This is a pro, but also kind of a con for me is the amount of guns they had. You have a huge variety, which I think is nice because like in PUBG, the meta is, even though they have so many weapons now, everybody still grabs an M4 and a Kar 98. That's the go-to, and that's because they only had 4 or 5 weapons in the very beginning when PUBG was first released. So throwing all these weapons in there at first, I think is good, but also bad in a way, because it gives you the variety if you want to learn different weapons or run a different set that not everybody's running. But at the same time, there's a ton of weapons, and it's going to take you a while to learn all of them and which one you like best. So optimization, the variety of weapons, I will say, was a nice touch. Something that I loved about the game, patching together all of the previous multiplayer maps through Black Ops was, I think beautiful. I thought that was amazing. The nostalgia going to Nuketown or Estates or just any of the other places that we were used to playing years ago. Amazing. I loved it. This was kind of weird, but I thought makes it a little different. Adding zombies to the BR map. A lot of people might hate that, but there's a risk and reward with it. If you go to the mystery box, which everybody is familiar with from zombies, you're going to obviously want to get a good gun from the mystery box, but you're going to run into trouble. You're going to hit the zombies, and sometimes you run into the zombie boss, which is not easy to take down, but if you kill the boss, it does reward you very well. So that I thought was pretty cool behind them. No one else has really thrown, I mean, to my knowledge, I don't think they haven't thrown another opponent into a BR besides the other players.
Yeah, it's
PvE and PvP now. And then Jag brings up a good point in the chat there, and we can make that my number 5, jumping on stuff. I mean, that's not the best way to put it, but you can literally vault over everything, and it's so smooth and it's so quick. I think that kind of goes with my number 1 point of optimization.
It's just frostbite, to be honest
right.
with you. Yeah.
And one thing I want to point out, I read online, so it's true. I read that these servers were only 10 tick. They were only 10 hertz tick. So if you guys play CS:GO, you know that the matchmaking servers are 64 tick, and then your good servers are 144 tick. PUBG, I think, plays at 17 or maybe 20. If this 10 tick was never brought up, I don't think anybody would have complained
or noticed.
I noticed it after the beta was over when I saw the article. So I did not notice it at all while playing. It felt smooth, it felt good. So yeah.
Yeah. So the other interesting thing about the beta is that they capped PC to 90 frames per second.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Now, like as a PC player, like the magic number is always 60, but obviously everybody wants fucking more than that. You know what I mean? But like I think that was pretty interesting in its own right. I got a pretty baller PC. I know you do too. So like when we're playing like PUBG and things, I'm like pretty much sort of 160 to 200 frames per second,
Right, yeah.
generally speaking. Okay, but we remember when it was less optimized. Okay,
Yeah.
let's say it wasn't that, but the fact that they were just like, let's cap it at 90 to encourage like server performance and things like that when we're going through the beta testing. Like, from what I've heard, it was pretty good. Now I got a couple of like negative points. Actually,
Okay.
I'm gonna ask something in question. Ton asks, "What's your opinion on Battlefield 5?" So Battlefield 5, and this is a quick 2-second thoughts on it, Ton, and perhaps this is something we'll cover later on. But Battlefield 5 at the moment is this: number one, it's an EA game, which always makes me nervous. Number two, when it came out to do its beta testing, which I think finished like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of people went into it with an attitude of like, this could be bad. And I think a lot of people felt like it was.
Yeah, I will say I played the Battlefield 5 beta, and I will say that it didn't run terribly, or it's not that it was well, there were actually some issues with optimization, but it legitimately felt like a reskin of Battlefield 1, which I know a lot of games that when you churn out every year over year, that's kind of what happens. I didn't hate the Battlefield 5 beta, but it legitimately just felt like I was playing Battlefield 1 with World War II skins. So
yeah,
yeah.
Anyway, I got to sit up straight because Small's having a go at me. Yeah, so we'll see. Anyway, let's get back to more importantly Blackout. Okay.
Yes.
So like number one, proximity loot. Like when I'm playing PUBG, I hit tab and I get an idea of what stuff's around me.
Yep. That was the biggest. That's out of anything. I think that needs to be fixed. But you can go ahead and continue. But I think that needs to be fixed first.
I think it's an absolute like it. It isn't until you've played a game which has it, and then you play it without it, that you appreciate the impact of what we're talking about.
Right.
And I think that's a like pretty much like I think that's a real problem in the whole scheme of things. The other one is like when you loot a corpse, you like unzip their bag that's got all their goodies in, and it presents you with a beautiful display across your screen of what they've got. But it's only pictorial.
Yes.
It doesn't tell you what those are. So if you're brand new to the game, or you don't know what specifically something is, you haven't got a fucking clue what you're looking at just here. It's just like a bunch of pictures. I mean, what the fuck is this? Some boost that makes me hear better, or like some gun.
I still don't know what the ammo is, and the only reason that I haven't really like what color boxes they are. I mean, I know what ammo is, but like in PUBG, 5.56 is green, 7.62 is yellow, like 45 is blue and white. But in the COD one, I still have no idea what they are, and the only reason I think that it doesn't matter is because you can carry unlimited ammo. Well, up to 200 for each, and it doesn't affect your bag space. So people just click on it, and they don't have a reason to know what it is.
You're walking around with 200 ammunition for a gun that you don't even fucking have.
Yeah, like sometimes I would check, and I would literally be carrying like upwards of 120 rounds of shotgun ammo, and I'm not even holding a shotgun. But it's because, to your point, when you open that bag, you don't know what anything is. You're just clicking around. Now you see that they do have it in a way though where it goes weapons, weapons, heals, perks, I think attachments, and then ammo. I noticed that in the beta. I don't know if it's set that way, but I noticed that the weapons were always first, and it seemed like there was kind of a uniformity to it, but that for a new player that doesn't help. And another thing is, speaking about looting their bags, is not only is it very, I guess, one-dimensional because you can't see anything, you literally just click it and you pick it up, but also you can't move while looting, which if you ever have played a BR game, standing still is the worst thing you can do in a BR game. So that needs to be addressed as well, because you're literally just a sitting duck at that point.
Okay, but then we'll have the flip side to that, which is you cannot move whilst you are looting. But do you know what you can do whilst moving?
What? A healing.
Fucking heal the shit out of yourself.
Which I love.
No.
I mean, I personally love it. I understand it's not the best thing for a BR. You should not be able to do that. But but that's what I'm saying. It's such a different change of pace where it's nice, but I understand why it's not. It shouldn't be in a BR.
Yeah,
I don't think it should be in a BR.
I mean, I would be okay with like bandaging. Okay, I'm okay with you like wrapping a bandage around your arm, one of these like sort of small heals, like whilst you're moving. But like using a full on like what do they call it? Trauma kit.
Trauma kit. Yes.
Using a full on trauma kit whilst beelining like Usain Bolt across the map is just bullshit.
Yeah,
all right?
No, I agree.
It's just not okay. And what else was that? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna use this trauma kit whilst I'm underwater.
Right, you can shoot underwater, you can heal underwater. That needs to be addressed. Now, that was an issue in PUBG as well. And they were like, oh, well, we actually didn't. That wasn't supposed to happen. I don't know if this is supposed to be the way it is in Blackout, but I guess time will tell whenever we get the release on October 12th. One other thing, though, to talk about, the healing aspect or, reviving. Reviving a down teammate in duos or quads is, like, legitimately 2 seconds. It needs to be adjusted. It is way too fast. I mean, obviously, It's nice when you're in the scenario and you're like, shit, I got to get my teammate up. Also, you can move when you're reviving. You can AD back and forth. So you can left and right. You can't go too far, but you can AD while picking up your downed player. So you're not getting shot at. You're not just a sitting duck. But if in PUBG, that is a very big, I mean, in any BR realistically, is if you're in a duos match and you're fighting another team and you knock one of the other players, your team, you and your other player, you push, you converge, you wrap around and you get to those guys while they're trying to get picked up and while they're trying to heal. Well, now when you have a 2-second revive time and you can full on sprint like Usain Bolt, like you said, and throw your trauma kit on, that doesn't work. There no longer is the tactic of, hey, let's push these guys. We know they're getting picked up. We know they're healing. They're gone by the time you get there.
Yeah, it reduces that sort of option. Now, there's some interesting points. Like Promistic in chat's like, it's because Blackout's supposed to be fast-paced. Cool. Okay, maybe you're right, okay? Yeah. And like Moose is like saying shooting and healing underwater is a part of Blackout. It's intentional. All right, man, that's absolutely cool. I'm not got an issue with that if that's like what you want to create. But what you're creating is perhaps a cool game, but it's that question of like, what are you trying to create? Are you trying to create a cool game that's fast paced that people love, or are you trying to create a game which has like sort of fundamentally integrity to it in some respects?
I agree. Let's put it this way. Say there was like a tournament, a massive tournament, $2 million on the line, and for some reason the final circle is ending on a beach and your one team is stuck out on the sand and the other team is in the water, and we all know you can shoot up out of the water while inside the water. That's how the tournament ends, and this team wins $2 million off of a bullshit, thing per se. I know I would be pissed. I don't think that shooting out of the water or healing in the water should be a thing. I don't. I mean, again, when I'm in the scenario where I need to use it, is it great? Of course. But I personally don't think it should be a thing.
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Sorry, shout out to Kronval in chat, one of the top Swedish streamers. Thanks for joining us, Kronval. Awesome to have you along tonight. Intoxicate in the house as well. Sup, girl?
Sup, girl?
Yeah, but like,
yes, welcome everybody, and thank you for being here. I apologize. Thank you, Daniel, for shouting it out.
No, it's all right. It's cool to see all these like guys and girls joining us this evening.
Right.
But you bring up the point about like sort of prize pools and things, and this is one of the things you have to take into account with these games. So the MLG Arena in Columbus held the Call of Duty World. I want to call it World Championships or whatever
what that was called. Yeah.
Fucking title they call it, But it was held in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, and the prize pool was $1.5 million.
Jeez.
All right, this is like a huge prize pool for these tournaments. Okay, I think EG won this year, if I remember correctly. I think FaZe Clan was second. Yada yada. Don't quote me on this. My memory's pretty decent, but it's not always perfect. But like the simple reality of it is like these are serious prize pools that are thrown around for these big Blizz Activision games, and like if you're going to try and create something which has competitive integrity to it, there's certain things that you just can't have.
I agree. And I mean, you know how big Call of Duty is already just from the esports world of just the regular multiplayer that they usually have. I can't believe that they wouldn't try to make their BR also into an esport. Because I've seen a few people saying in chat, well, what if they don't want it to be an esport? And I know you and I kind of touched on that in the beginning. But with how they have been going with their multiplayer, I mean, I can't see why they would not.
Yeah,
I mean, they've monetized the multiplayer for all these years while making it an esport. Why wouldn't they do the same for the BR?
No, I totally agree. And I was chatting to, I'm not going to name him because I think it's unfair, but let's just say a pretty big YouTuber, all right, about it. And he said that he thinks that more people will buy Black Ops for Blackout.
Mm-hmm. If they wanted to, I truthfully believe they could have made Black Ops 4 and then COD Blackout. Yeah. If they wanted, they could have sold Zombies and multiplayer on their own and then sold Blackout on their own. People would have bitched, some of them, but 100% people would have bought both or one.
All right.
They easily could have.
Okay. I will tell you now that I had this exact conversation with somebody from Activision about this exact thing.
Was he like, we thought about it,
No. My perspective of it was like, why didn't you?
Right. I mean,
that
would have sold.
Why the fuck wouldn't you? Like,
would have sold.
I'll tell you now, Black Ops 4 will sell.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It sells on average like 10 to 12 million copies. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say that only 7 million people buy Blackout.
Okay. Well,
I tell you now, 12 million people will still buy Black Ops 4. It's just
100% agreed. Yeah.
Sales, you know what I mean?
And you're gonna have you're pulling a lot of people back into the Black Ops 4, just the regular game, because you have a lot of people who are very into zombies. Like the zombies maps, like are their, that's their single player, that's their multiplayer, that's what they do. They get into zombies and they grind. They love finding the Easter eggs. They love doing all of that shit. And in Black Ops 4, you have a lot of remastered maps and a lot of new maps and a lot of actually new content. They just released, Doc actually played a video today on his stream where it looked like you were like back in the Roman times. I'm not really sure what the right word for that is, but like in the AD times, and there were zombies, like, you're in like a fighting pit and there's zombies coming at you. So they're trying to really make zombies kind of like its own little game, which it always has been, but it seems like there's a lot that has gone into zombies in Black Ops 4.
I think that's what he meant.
Jack. Oh, BC time. Yes, BC time. Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. BC times.
But what I was gonna say, Doc Guy, because Guy used to work for Activision doing map design back in the day. So this is something which is like really key and understanding to him and something in terms of how things developed. So that's going to be interesting in its own right. Anyway, I had a couple more things. You talked about armor earlier.
Yes.
Right. So first things first, let's get something straight. Armor 3 is bullshit. In my opinion, it needs to be taken out of the game, or it needs to be loot drop only, much the same as it is in PUBG. Okay? Mm-hmm. It is beyond fucking ridiculous in that game. Essentially, if you got Armor 3, this is Armor Class 3. This is not Armor 3 in the game. Yes. Before you get it confused with that, but if you have Armor Level 3, it's just fucking too insane. Like the difference between Armor Level 3. Mustache Dave says, heading out for food. Good talk, guys. We'll tune in for the next one for sure. Dave, awesome, man. Look, it's so good to catch up with you, and we'll have to speak on Discord at some stage in the near future. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for stopping in, Dave.
But Armor Level 3 it's just way too freaking too gross. Okay, so if it comes in loot drops, like for example it does in PUBG, I might be like, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Right. But even then, I think it almost needs to be tuned back because it is absolutely redonkulous. All right.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just level 3 armor. I mean, I personally another thing that Treyarch is doing is not only did they have the beta over that weekend, but every day they were releasing small patches and fixes to things that were broken early on that people were reporting, which I think is very nice. So, and the very first day that I played on Friday, I felt that almost all armor, level 2 or 3, and level 1 seemed to be fine, or maybe it was broken, it was too weak, but level 2 and 3 were OP as hell. Like, it didn't matter if you had 2 or I mean, if you had 3, obviously you were way more OP than not, but if you had any armor on at all, it felt like you were just playing the actual, just regular multiplayer team deathmatch. Like, you were just, shooting at a guy, he ducks out, then you heal, it seemed too much, and they started tweaking things as it went on, but towards the end of it, level 3 was still bullshit, for, lack of better words. It was, you were a bullet sponge if you had it on.
Yeah. So the other thing is when you're wearing armor, the encouragement to avoid fights.
Okay. Yes. Very big. Yep.
Let me explain this one. Fundamentally, when you're playing a game, I think you should be trying to build a game that encourages you to have fights. It's the fucking nature of
especially
the game,
in a VR.
all.
I mean,
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So generally speaking, if my squad goes into a fight against your squad, one of our squads will win. But the other one's armor is fucked.
Right. And if we won the fight, 9 out of 10 times, we destroyed your armor.
Yo, no,
killing you.
You have to destroy the armor to kill them.
I have nothing.
Yeah, so subsequently, you're like, oh, brilliant, we won that fight. We go over, we loot their bodies, we get the ammunition that we don't need, we get the stims that we don't use, we get the grenades, which are fucking overpowered, we get the mollies that are fucking pointless. We get all of these different things. But we got no armor. And we've already said armor's the most broken thing in the game, okay? The squad that just watched us have this fight off 50 to 100 meters to our left just comes in and fucks us.
Yep. And if, say, you don't even have a squad that's watching you 50 or 100 meters off to your right, that next time you run into players or you see players a little bit off in the distance, you got to think now, do I want to take that fight?
Yeah, and
I have no armor, or your armor is broken. They might have perfectly fine level 2, level 3, or even if they have level 1, still having armor is better than having none, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're penalizing you almost for taking a fight.
Yeah,
100%. In a sense.
I think like the whole power level, the whole way the armor is implemented into the game, I think needs to be massively reconsidered right now. Personally.
I agree, and Cronville makes a good point. He says armor and inventory is 100% the only things that they need to fix. I think those are definitely the two biggest things that need to be adjusted and worked on, because that's definitely what'd you say?
And healing.
Yeah, that's another one for me. The healing and the res times, that needs to be fixed. But yeah, 100% the armor and the inventory, those things need to be addressed if this game wants to be taken seriously and as an esport, in my opinion.
No, I know what you mean. So you made an interesting point about maps earlier. Now, when I heard that they were going to be taking all of these iconic locations from COD's history and blending it together into one map, I'll level with you. I was pretty excited.
Okay. I hear there's a but coming on. I feel
there is a but coming, which is this: is that one thing I will say is, I do think it's a bit PUBG.
Okay, and how so?
Well, let me explain. Okay, so the big transient difference between PUBG and Fortnite is these massively impactful differences between the game. One's very photorealistic, one's fucking hella cartoon. Okay,
right. I wonder which one you're talking about.
Well, yeah, I mean,
which one's which? Yeah,
you'll make your judgment from that as you see. Do you want to hit me with a fucking rainbow unicorn, or would you like to hit me with a realistic representation of an AK-47? It's entirely up to you. But both leafy butt fucked, I'm sure. But there is a small part of me that kind of wished that COD had gone with its own direction in terms of art style. I kind of feel as though it's arguably a better version of PUBG, but in some respects, okay. And I will add this is this game is good, but I don't know if it is PUBG yet, okay. I just feel as though it is. I just feel as though it's looking at it. I was like, this is pretty, but they could have done their own thing.
Yeah, it'd have been nice to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was kind of on the opposite spectrum, where when I heard they were blending all these maps together, I I thought it was going to be amazing, but I was also worried that it was going to feel, I don't know, weird. Like, obviously there wouldn't be like like a loading transition. Like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like it was gonna flow together properly. Like when you say you're gonna go from Nuketown to Estates or to the cargo area, how's that all going to blend? And I think they did it pretty well. But I do have to agree, it would have been nice if they would have did their own thing and put their own spin on it to see what map they could have came up with. Obviously they have their own little things in between the main towns. You have like little buildings here and there. But yeah, I would have liked to see what they did if they built the whole thing themselves.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, the other thing is like it looks as though it's going to launch with a single map.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. This is before we get into another big rant, which will come in a minute. Okay. But it looks as though it's going to launch with a single map. Now,
which I'm fine with.
Are you?
I am, just based off the fact that, okay, I understand that PUBG has, because that's what we're going to get into is PUBG. I understand that PUBG has 3 current maps, which it's nice to have the variety. But for the first 7 months of PUBG's lifespan, it was only Erangel. It was only 1 map. So we're just, maybe not 7 months. It might have been 5 months. I don't know the exact time around it, but
I think it was 7 actually. But yeah.
It was a longer period of time where you only played the 1 map. So I think it'll be nice to get people familiarized with the game in a way. I mean, and then you're gonna learn the map and all of that. But at Fortnite, only 1 map. Now they make changes to the map, right? When they like that one area got leveled by a meteorite or whatever.
That was to kill all of the players over 13 because everyone knows that meteorites kill dinosaurs.
Oh god. Yes, that was a good one. But no, I'm not upset that it's going to release with 1 map. Now, if they bring out other maps down the line, okay, but I don't want it to get oversaturated. I don't want there to be a shit ton of maps because look at the issue that's happening with PUBG. There's 3 maps. 2 of them are favorited. 1 of them is hated. I don't care what people say. 1 of them is hated. Nobody likes Miramar. If you do,
except was it RJ or Pro?
RJ? I can't remember. RJ loves Miramar. But there's like when they actually put map selection in between Erangel and Miramar, nobody queued Miramar. Like they had to physically force us back into queuing Erangel and Miramar together. So if you're going to release multiple maps, they need to be something that people like, And I don't know what PUBG could have done. Obviously, they're not going to just scrap Miramar altogether, and I don't mean to go back onto PUBG, but I think they need to take the map out of rotation, fix it, make some improvements, and then maybe re-release it and see how people like it. But instead, they decided to just force it on us and make us play it. But anyway, back to your point and Blackout for 1 map.
No, sorry. It's just like ZooTube's just made a really interesting point, which is, they'll just release Blackout maps as DLC packs. All right.
Yep, there you go. There's that money.
Fucking money. Damn fucking right. Yeah. Hashtag my business is not run by an accountant. Yeah, like I totally agree. But yeah, I think it might be interesting to see like games releasing with like more options. The other one is this. Unfortunately, it's a Blizzard Activision game, which means there is going to be no back-end API.
That is a big thing for tournament organizers. Now, speaking on that, have they released any information about allowing third-party tournament organizers to set up servers and any of that?
Not that we know of yet. And
right, I've tweeted at them 2 days in a row now, and, haven't heard back. So if anybody from Treyarch is watching, you can get back to, Championship Arena or Challenge Mode whenever you'd like.
Yeah, call me.
Call us up.
I mean, it's not like we're not already having phone calls about this, but like from a slightly different perspective is this. Like, why are you developing a game without that in mind?
Right. That needs to be a key priority.
It should be part of your initial build path. It shouldn't be a second thought.
Even PUBG had an API in the beginning. Right? Did they not come out with an API?
No,
I mean, it wasn't very... Well, you would know more than I did because you guys, were doing all this, but you know more than me.
I mean, you like, no, not really. So,
No?
all in all, like, game developers need to wise the fuck up. To be honest with you, like, it's a real problem with that.
Yeah.
Right. Last but not least, on this topic, because we got other things to talk about. We'll be up until like stupid o'clock if we don't. Player numbers. So, another big YouTuber actually, Jack Frags. did
Okay.
a review on this talking about player numbers. Now, it's quite, in the whole scheme of things, it's quite a big map, and
Hmm.
players like to hot drop.
Yes.
Okay. And because of the brutality of this game, you would drop into the map with 80 players, and before the first circle was through, there would be like 25 people left.
Right. Yes. That was
And that
definitely
meant,
a
yeah, that meant that like the mid part of the game was non fucking existent.
right, and that was and is a complaint for PUBG as well. I don't mean to keep going back to it, but I mean we are talking about the BR genre, so of course we're going to have some back and forth. But
Of course, I mean, there's comparisons between all of them.
one thing that I think, maybe was, I guess, a bad decision in a way of making all of these old maps back into one is no matter where I jumped off of the playing path, if I jumped in the very beginning, if I jumped at the end or in the middle, no matter where I went, I'm not even kidding, there was always another team with us. It felt like no matter where you were, someone else was there with you. Now in PUBG, you can just go, you go to half the spots and there's no one there with you and you don't see anybody for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, and you can even purposefully choose to go to quote unquote shit places.
Right.
Like, when no stream sniping me in the future, by the way, people. But like when we're playing duos, me and some of my colleagues and things, one thing that we like to do is a drop near to Billstown. Because I really like doing the north roads and
like
just
north.
doing all the compounds along the northeast corner of Erangel.
Okay.
Because I think it's a real nice thing to do as a duo. You get like 4 or 5 decent 4 or 5 house complexes. You always get 1 or 2 cars, and then subsequently you're level 2. You got some good equipment and shit like that, and it's happy days.
Right.
You can't do that in COD because there's basically 10 locations.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but there's not many, and I think that's the issue is everybody wants to hit a main town. Nobody wants to go to the little outskirt houses, kind of how you're saying that you guys do when you play PUBG as a duo.
Yeah, but that's because there just isn't good loot.
There really isn't. You have houses here and there, but there's not much spread out throughout the map.
Right, there's 12. So you got
12,
construction, hydro, train, firing range, asylum, Rivertown, array, nuke, fracking, cargo, factory, and turbine. Okay?
Okay.
So the simple reality, that's 12 locations. Now they're dropping 80 people into a server, which is 20 teams. So that means that you're more than likely to have at least one other team dropping where you are.
Right.
Well, that's a problem.
Because, like you said, your mid game is just nothing.
But not only that, because of the very nature of the game, people are more inclined to drop into the towns that are in the center of the map because of how circles work. Right. So firing range, Rivertown, fracking tower, array in the center are going to be more likely to be dropped into than, say, Nuketown or factory or construction or hydro. Although I know hydro is like a popular drop for people.
Right.
So, if like 4 teams drop into, say, like Rivertown or into firing range, well, you're fucked. The numbers are just going to disappear way too fast. So.
Yeah, and they definitely did. Playing the beta, I mean, I can say, firsthand experience, that happened. There was a lot of times during the mid game you would literally just be running and there would be nothing. There would be nothing going on. But I will say this, and maybe it was just, the hype around the game being out. I didn't feel as bored during that mid game running around trying to find another team or getting to the next circle as I do when I'm playing PUBG. I don't know why. I don't, and again, I don't know if it's just because, oh my god, it's a new game, like the hype around it, blah blah blah. Will that wear off once it's been out for 2 months? And you're like, okay, I'm sick of this shit. It's the same thing as every other game, So, only time will tell, I think, on that. For me, at least.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Trevor makes an interesting point, which is like they wanted to try it out with smaller people first to see how it worked. That's okay, man. So let me explain my sort of preface with regards to this exact point. The point when it comes to player numbers is I think 80 might be too few.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could potentially do with having more numbers on the map, and I'm actually going to be really rash here. I'm even going to go as far to say like 150.
Wow. Now, the map is not that big. I think it's 6 by 6, which is a little bit bigger than Fortnite, but then smaller than Erangel and Miramar on PUBG. So you're kind of in the middle there. So, I mean, so I would 100% be okay with upping the player numbers if they add more areas to drop. You don't necessarily need to make it a big town, make it another named town, but you need little housing complexes. That's the one good thing that you brought up earlier. PUBG has those. If you hit that whole northeastern side of Erangel, you're not hitting any named towns, but you're hitting housing complexes that have anywhere between 4 to 6 houses in them. And there's multiples of those. You might run into 5 or 6 of those. So you have a chance to loot, 30 plus buildings maybe. You're going to find something as a duos team in those 30 buildings. That'd be like essentially everybody dropping Roz or Skull or, Georgia Pole. And that's why they needed to add that, all those other houses, that other layer of looting basically. So I think Treyarch needs to hit that.
And I think that comes into like map design choices, which is is that they were so focused on taking these iconic places that you've played in COD and merging them into one map that I don't actually think it's a particularly well designed map.
Yeah, I mean when you bring
that's what it comes down to at its clutch, at its core is that at its root core, I don't think it's a particularly well designed map, and I think that if they have the intentions of turning it into a competitive game, I think the map's just too freaking bad, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
Mac
after talking
in a
about
box
it,
has just joined us in Twitch chat. Sorry to interrupt you, dude.
No.
Mac in a box is here saying, "What is this?"
Jonah says it's a new BR game. Yep, this is the new battle royale of podcasts. But speaking of new BR games. Idiot BR. Wow. Speaking of new BR games, I actually did kind of want to just briefly touch on, I guess, the oversaturation of BR games that we currently have. Just doing a quick Google search, because I don't know all of these off the top of my head. You have PUBG, Fortnite, Realm Royale, H1Z1, Islands of Nine, The Calling. I know there was that one underwater BR, and then there was that Darwin project. You now are going to have Blackout. Battlefield 5 is bringing out a BR. Is there Cuisine Royale? Thank you very much, Katie. You have totally accurate Battleground stuff. Are there too many BR games? Ring of Elysium. So apparently the list continues to go. So are there too many BR games in this genre? Is it too late for Treyarch and for Call of Duty and for Battlefield 5? Is it too late for them? Or are they big enough titles that it doesn't matter?
I mean, I think that the Call of Duty franchise has the potential of actually doing it, and that is largely off of one thing alone, which is Frostbite is a fucking unbelievable engine. I bet they wish they'd released it a year ago.
Yeah.
Or like Frostbite and what they built with it, I think is going to be absolutely fine. That said, I mean, you've sit and reeled off a long list of names of titles, all right? And I'm sure, like, Elysium, Culling, some of these other titles and whatnot that you've come up with, they've probably made their companies money.
Yeah.
But no one's fucking playing them anymore.
No, not anymore. I mean, and look at the biggest player that was number one for the longest time, H1Z1.
Yeah, Easy, yeah.
Where are they at now? Yeah, go ahead.
Easy's interesting. I mean, have you seen the H1Z1 Premier League or whatever they called it that they were running in Las Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, $125,000 to all of the teams that were taking part in it to play your staff, and so they can take part in this fucking huge thing in this venue in Las Vegas, which we're going to broadcast to all of these freaking people. I'm like, holy shit, the Heezy boys are going ham at this, they couldn't fill out the venue because literally no one went. I mean, literally, they were having to give away like 60-70% of the tickets to members of staff just to like get people there to watch it at all. Jeez. No one freaking watched it because they sold the rights. I don't think it was on Twitch. I think it was on Facebook or YouTube.
That's the biggest mistake a lot of companies are making. But anyway,
yeah,
that happened to I can't remember a big CS:GO tournament. Was it?
Yeah,
ESL. ESL. They're Facebook now.
Yeah, they moved on to Facebook for shitloads of money. So like,
I understand it from a business, business point of things, the money. But anyway, Twitch is the biggest platform.
But the thing is this: if no one's fucking watched it, it's not an esport. It's one of my old adages. Yeah, it doesn't It doesn't fucking matter if no one's
Exactly.
watching
Yeah.
it. You're
It
not an
doesn't. Yeah.
esport. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. It's like, NFL would not be very big if fucking no one was watching it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and like it failed after one season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've had to file a force majeure to like essentially like reduce themselves of the money that they're meant to be putting in. Loads of players out of pocket, having moved to another fucking country and shit like that. I mean they've completely fucked over people yet again. So yeah, it's I honestly I'm pretty savage about it. Because I don't think you should make business decisions which fuck over people that are working in your best interests.
Well, not everybody has the best business ethics when it comes to this thing. They see the money, they see we can do this, we can make this kind of money, blah blah blah, and that's what they go for. It's not everybody's best interest always in mind. Which I mean, I agree. Obviously, you shouldn't do that, but.
I mean, it's the whole fucking promise you the moon and deliver you a pebble kind of thing.
Exactly, but it also gives a bad name for esports. I mean, yes, it's giving a bad name for the company that's doing it and for H1Z1 or the game, but it's giving a bad name overall.
Yeah, because it does have a knock-on impact. Because for every failed esports event, it means that those bastards that are like, oh yeah, esports isn't real. It's sort of it gives them an extra sort of coin in the sock to beat us around the head with, if that makes sense. So it kind of upsets me, and this fundamentally harks into the situation that you've got right now, which is there too many? Yeah, there is. Yes. Like the market's oversaturated with them at the moment, and the reality of it is that 2, maybe 3 can exist within the operational space. We've seen a similar thing with other games as well. So if you think about MOBA games, okay, you got League of Legends, you got Dota. Those are your 2 big ones. There's a couple of other ones that are in and around there in terms of trying to do things, the likes of Heroes of the Storm, the likes of Smite and all of these things. But the reality is like, some of you guys have played HOT, some of you guys have played Smite, but no one fucking watches this esport. It's this non-existent scheme of things, all right? And I don't mean that as a disrespect to Blizz. I thought HOTS was a great game. I actually think Smite was a pretty decent game, but the reality of it is it's League and freaking Dota. Okay, they won the race, they won the game. They're the big titles, all right? Yep. Within first-person shooter games, you got CS:GO. That's the biggie. That's your baller one. You can probably include like a couple of other ish style games around it, but that kind of won the race. And any of these other FPS titles, they're non-existent.
The only 2 that come to mind would be Rainbow Six Siege and then Overwatch, and those are way too. And Overwatch, I only put it in there because it is first person, but it's not a first person shooter per se.
I mean, Overwatch. They tried.
It's its own thing, but I feel like when Overwatch first came out, everyone's like, it's the CS:GO killer. It's gonna take CS:GO down. And they just made themselves separate. They made themselves different, which is not a bad thing. They found a niche that people wanted, but it's not the CS:GO killer. It's not even a first-person shooter per se.
I mean, it's certainly not killed anything. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know exactly what I mean. So the simple reality is within the battle royale space, I think a lot of these developers are creating these games to try and cash out on it as something. And like they're just not. I mean, they might make money in terms of like the sort of sales. If you make a game and it sells and you've made money off of that game, congratulations, you're a successful games developer. Right. That's what it is. Yep. If I spend $1 million developing a game and I sell, $2 million worth of games, I'm a successful games developer.
There you go. Yep.
Okay. But is it going to compete with Fortnite or PUBG? No.
It won't. And I think not only with the oversaturation of the games in the BR market, even with Call of Duty Blackout coming, even with the Battlefield 5 BR, this whole Battle Royale genre is going to die eventually, right? I mean, it's just, I don't see it lasting as popular it is for a very long time. FPSs like CSGO can stay relevant because CS:GO, it is what it is. It's a first-person shooter. Everybody's going to be playing first-person shooters, regardless of what happens. Not everybody's going to want to spend time running around in a BR game, or there's going to be the next, like a few years ago, like in 2013, like zombies. That was the biggest thing, like DayZ, and you had 7 Days to Die or 7 Days to Live, whatever it's called. Then you had that other War Z, like all the like we're just on the BR part of that now. We're the zombies now became BR, and I just don't know what the next one's going to be. You know,
Yeah.
and this BR1, in my opinion, has lasted longer because there have actually been developers that made a decent game. All of those games, like DayZ, War Z, 7 Days to Die, or whatever it was, and there was another one I can't remember. None of them actually really hit what they were promising. They never really gave exactly what players wanted. PUBG, Fortnite, they are. I think that's why the BR has it was so popular and then has stayed around. But eventually, I think this is gonna run its course.
I'm not sure I agree.
No, that's fine.
Um, so, oh God, how to sound not like a dick here.
Go ahead. It's opinions.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just like, I'm sat with company banner behind me and things. Maybe I should have considered this more. But right. So let's
I'll hide your You want me to hide your camera real quick?
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter. All right. So like, if we live up to the Thorin mentality of Fortnite, which is that I'm sorry, I'm not 13. I've never played that game. All right. We're blaming Thorin on this as opposed to myself, so it's brilliant.
Okay.
Thanks,
Perfect.
Duncan. I love you.
He's not watching, so it's okay.
Yeah. But I'll send him a link to this just so he knows.
Oh, great.
Name dropping him. But if we make the presumption that that Fortnite is a game played by younger folks, okay, which I think is a fair reflection. I'm not saying that all people that play Fortnite are younger people,
but majority.
Jesus, but it is a game that is attractive and popular towards the younger generation. All right. And over the past couple of years, you've seen a history of sort of games aimed towards the sort of youth market, if that makes sense. Minecraft was incredibly popular with them when that first came out. We saw Roblox come out, which was incredibly popular with them. Currently, it's Fortnite, which is incredibly popular with them. And in like 3 or 4 years' time, it might be insert game here that is incredibly popular. Whatever happens to be flavor of the month right now. Okay. So I've always said that I do feel as though Fortnite is one of those games that is going to flash really bright, but potentially for a shorter period of time.
I could agree for that. If I were to see any PUBG or any BR game, big game, not these, Islands of Nine and the Calling, not these ones. I'm talking the big ones. If I could see any that would die off quicker than the others, I would agree. I think it would be Fortnite. Just because it's gonna. I think it's kind of already hitting that. Burning real bright. Like you had when Ninja played with Drake, Travis Scott, and then he played with Juju Smith-Schuster, which is a receiver for the Steelers. That's a pretty high peak. You're not gonna beat that ever again. I mean, he had almost. I think he actually had over 700,000 people watching him alone. I don't think you're ever going to hit that peak again. So, if anything, I think you could say that Fortnite is just not always. That's not the best way to word it, but it's going to constantly be kind of on a decline. It might plateau and level out and stay where it is for a little while, but I don't think you're going to get much higher than that unless Fortnite pulls in and grabs all of these celebrities to run a tournament. I don't think you're going to get anything higher than what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think we've hit that peak and we're done with it now,
We're so done with it, which is interesting that you bring that in, which sparks a separate conversation, which perhaps we'll jump into after we finish this point here, which is about the esports versus influencer debate. And that's something we can go into in a bit, but I know exactly what you're saying, because the reality of it is Ninja's a great player, okay, but he's not a pro.
Right.
Okay. Right. Or at least he's not currently a pro within Fortnite like he was within Halo, for example. Okay.
Yes.
But the thing with Fortnite is that the company's just gone, here's $100 million for esports over the next 18 months. Well, they've only spent like a fraction of it So they're going to try real hard to make it a freaking esport. I tell you now.
Right? Yeah.
But like, I don't know if there's going to be $100 million for the 18 months after that.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. I just don't see it going at the rate that it was. Like, I know this isn't this isn't the wide scale representation of it, but I can tell you from looking at, Instagram stories, Snapchat stories, people what they're posting on Facebook and stuff, the amount of Fortnite, I don't know, memes and screenshots of them getting their wins and their victory royale, I don't see those anymore.
It's gone down, isn't it?
Back in the summer, and the months leading up to the summer, when it was at that brightest flash, that big peak, everybody and their mother was posting about Fortnite. They were talking about Fortnite. They were putting their screenshots up of their wins, back to back, blah blah blah, whatever.
I mean, the only reason I've not done that is because obviously I don't win any. But
right, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But no, I probably would if I played some Fortnite now and got a victory royale or whatever.
You'd post it.
A royale with cheese. I would definitely post it because of the rarity of me actually winning fucking something.
Right,
but yeah, no, I know what you mean. But no, that said, I actually do see PUBG or the game that wins the competitive battle royale genre competition, which I currently perceive to be PUBG. Although, maybe Blackout does have the opportunity to challenge that title. Right. I do see 5 to 10 years worth of esports within one of these titles.
Okay, so I can agree to that. I know what I said earlier where I said I think it's going to die out. What I meant by when it's going to die out is this oversaturation. You're not going to have all these people
other fucking companies making shit attempts.
Yeah. I mean, look at CS:GO, or look at Counter-Strike, not Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Look at Counter-Strike. Yeah. Counter-Strike has been around since 99, 98.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've done different iterations of the game, and they've improved on the engine and on the graphics and all of that kind of stuff. But they put their foot in there as like the competitive first-person shooter, and I agree with you. There's still this open area of who wants to be the competitive battle royale, who's gonna win that spot. I 100% agree. I think PUBG is winning, even with all of the hype that was around Fortnite. Battlegrounds is still right behind it in popularity. Like, if you're talking about Twitch viewership numbers, it's usually right behind Fortnite, but that's always not a fair representation because Ninja brings in like 120,000 viewers on his own. But I think you're right. I think PUBG is currently winning that more competitive scene for Battle Royale. And once that is finally set in place, who is the competitive one, then I can agree. I think there's going to be, another 5, maybe 10 years of tournaments and whatever competitive scene with Battle Royale. How we've seen with CS:GO.
How we're seeing with exactly that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying that it is 100% going to be PUBG. Like,
right, yeah.
If like Blackout or insert another title comes in here and it's just frankly fucking better, maybe that will win. That said, like, Heroes of the Storm is a prime example. Heroes of the Storm was released 3 or 4 years after like League of Legends was out, and I think it's an all right game. I don't think it's a bad game, but it was never going to win the race against something that had been established for 4 years. Well, the reality of it with PUBG is fucking established. Yeah,
it is established.
Like, you're not gonna. It's gonna need to take something with fucking big balls and be really fucking good to try and compete with it these days.
I agree with you, but to play devil's advocate on that point, it is established in the sense that it everybody knows PUBG, right? If you play battle royale games, you know PUBG. But you can make the point. You could almost argue that yes, it's established, but at the same time, it's not, because let's say Blackout, for example, say they come in and do everything that PUBG can do. They fix the armor, they fix the inventory, but it runs smoother. It plays better, and there's no issues. You can play without any lag, without the desync that PUBG has. If they come in and they hit all of those pain points that PUBG Corp cannot, then I think another game could take it over. So yes, PUBG is established, but to play devil's advocate off of your point, I think another game really could come in and sweep out PUBG's legs. I really
Well,
do.
I'm gonna say some words to you, which is gonna tingle with one of our viewers called Rizzle, which
Okay.
is the words critical mass.
Okay.
Okay, critical mass, which is simply the fact that that's all well and good, but the
Hmm.
point is that PUBG has established what they refer to as a critical mass right now, and in order for you to overwhelm that and to get yourself set up with a brand new game, you also need to achieve a critical mass. Now, the reason that PUBG was so successful, almost I'll go as far to say viral when it first came out, was because of the support that came in with the influencers behind it that grew it into the game that it is.
Hmm.
And now, if Blackout gets that same level of support, which seemingly it is, because the Sacriels, the Breaks, the Lyrics,
Right.
and all of these kinds of people, they've been playing the game. Maybe it will reach a point where it establishes itself on a critical mass, and then maybe we'll see the war of which is the best game.
Hmm.
But like
That's a
right
good
now,
point. That's a good point.
right now it's a month away from launch, and we're talking about a fucking global league with professional players and
True.
tournaments with $1 million prize pools.
And
Um,
right now, COD is not talking about having any third-party organizers for tournaments, no API, no nothing. So,
yeah, so I have to
very
say,
good point. Yeah, very good point.
Cronval says, I believe that Fortnite will win because it is free and there is more to it. But I think PUBG is not going to win because they have already dropped so much. I really think Blackout can take a shot here in the more realistic BR game. I think there's some interesting points, like Gustav. Like, don't get me wrong, like the free to play aspect of Fortnite makes it incredibly appealing for people to come into it. But it depends. Are we talking about a game or are we talking about esports? Because the barrier to entry from a free versus pay to enter perspective doesn't come into account when we're talking about esports. We're just talking about it as a game. Like if we're talking about how many people play the game, yeah, of course more people are going to play a free to play game. But if we're talking about esports, the cost of entry just isn't a barrier in any way, shape, or form.
True.
I think PUBG is not going to win because they have already dropped so much. Not with reference to that. I think what we're talking about here is just reaching a plateau. When games are brand new, they have like a real massive peak in usership, and then they settle off into a plateau. It's the same with every freaking game. Do you know what I mean? Like the first couple of months when it was, well, I say the first couple of months, the first 8 months of the game, like there was no other battle royale to play, so of course everyone was freaking playing PUBG. There was not an alternative. Now I think we've reached a more regular perspective of how many people actually play the game. And reference Blackout can take a shot in here. I think it'll be exactly the same as both Fortnite and PUBG. I think loads of people will buy it. I think loads of people will play it, and then I think it will settle off into the actual reflection of the user base.
Right, and that's always the hype around a new game. I mean, just look at the Twitch numbers on that Friday. I mean, there was a lot of Twitch. When they started playing the PS4 beta, Doc, Shroud, those guys were playing it. There was a lot of people watching, but whenever they let Doc, Shroud, Ninja, Lyric, all of those people started playing, Tim the Tatman started playing on that Friday of that start of the weekend. Their viewer numbers were like 300 overall, was like 300,000 or 400,000 people watching. I mean, that's a massive amount of people watching that. So I think that's the way it is with the new hype of the new game coming out. And to your point, yeah, people are gonna buy it, they're gonna play it, and then it's gonna plateau, and that's gonna be your real numbers that are playing the game.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the reality is that you're talking with the biggest influencers in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
In
so
the gaming world, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I remember when Shroud was playing that. Oh shit, I can't remember the name of the game now. Darwin Project or whatever it was
Yeah,
called.
that dumbass BR. Ugh.
Yeah, so where the guy who was running the server got to fuck you around, depending on whoever the hell you were or whatever it was. Yeah, so I remember when Shroud and Lyric and Summit and all of those guys were taking part in the Darwin Project like stream, and it had like 6 squillion viewers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit! How many people are playing it now? Jesus, we
Probably
can probably
nothing.
Steam players Darwin Project. I can't fucking type today. FYI, if you want to become a fast typer, don't break your arm.
Does that really ruin? That really hurt your chances of typing fast?
Yeah, it really
would have never
does.
guessed.
Last 30 days, peak number of players 988.
Wow.
Yeah,
988. That is pretty low.
yeah. Come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Well,
just
that's what I mean, that's kind of what we talked about earlier. Is just this oversaturation of games, and there's just
yeah.
too many of them. There's too many BR games, and they're all trying to put their own little spin on everything, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. You want to differentiate yourself from the competition, right? But starting with a bow and arrow and having the announcer, literally pick and choose who he wants to screw over. It just didn't. It didn't work. It didn't work, in
No.
my opinion.
And like, don't get me wrong, like I like the fact that different people are taking like these different flavors in terms of how to make
Hmm.
things like sort of interesting and whatnot, and
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
in order
competition is
for us to
great.
have like, development in games and things, it requires those sorts of attitudes and
Hmm.
perspectives, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's bad. I'm going to bed. Good luck with the talk. Cromval, I don't think I'm far behind you, good sir. Gustav, it was so amazing of you to drop in, matey. And we'll have to catch up soon. For
Yep.
those of you guys that are interested, there's a stream called King of Nordic, and Cromval's actually casting the Rainbow Six
Huh?
tournaments and things for them. Is also like a really, really popular Swedish streamer that does really great cooking shows.
Cooking. Oh, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
follow and stop
cooking
in.
with Cromval. It's
Uh,
it's fucking amazing. Anyway,
Kron, yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate you stopping in, man. Thank you. You have a great night, dude.
yeah. But yeah, old friend, the first guy that I ever cast a challenger mode League of Legends tournament with as
Oh
well,
wow, that's awesome.
back in the days. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, so like I think the whole BR sort of situation is, yeah, I think it's pretty saturated, to be honest with you, and
Yep.
I think it's a problem on the whole.
Yeah.
On the whole.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. What else did you want to sit and talk about? Do you want to take one more topic?
It's up to you. I know it's late for you. I'm content,
Nice.
but if we have another one, we can another
No,
one
I
you want to
wanted to I
discuss.
wanted to get your perspective on it because, like, obviously, I'm really massively opinionated on shit.
My
uh,
perspective on what topic?
well, the thing I wanted to get your perspective on is, um, basically the notion of super teams.
Okay. Um,
Okay.
so are we talking super teams in any specific game or just super teams in general?
I mean, the simple reality of it is that we can leave it open to whichever. Like I'm fairly broad in terms of the esports that I follow. Okay, and
Right.
and I have I've been around, and I've seen the stories and whatnot. But you're obviously going to be more associated with certain games and things like that.
Right.
There's things that there's esports or whatnot that you're going to know better than others.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, the esports that I really could, talk to would be more CS:GO or PUBG.
Yeah.
With the announcement that we were talking about earlier on in the podcast, I don't know in terms of a super team what we're going to be able to see within PUBG, just because of that region lock, and you need to have 3 players from a certain region. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't 3 people from, say they just make it a broad EU. I mean, say that's not broken down
I mean,
into,
EU is going to be one of the regions. So if you look at
Right,
a team
so
like Liquid, for example, it's all EU players
right.
already.
So, I mean, another good one that comes to mind. I know I brought him up already. Is the
Merva.
Pittsburgh
Oh,
yeah, but the
yeah.
Pittsburgh Knights. I mean, they are an EU team, right? Because they have 4 EU players. So, and any tournament that I've ever watched with the Knights in, they're 90, well, not 90%. That's a bad number. I don't know the actual statistic, but they are typically in the top 5. A lot of times I see them top 3 in all these tournaments. So I know they're not always pulling out a W, but to consistently finish in the top 5 or top 3, I would put you up there as almost being a super team. But let's get back to an actual super team, a team that was created with just stars from other teams.
Yeah.
A
FaZe
big one
Clan's the one that springs to mind for me from a
FaZe
CS:GO
Clan,
perspective.
the new one that was just not just created, but it would be MIBR, which
Yeah.
is their team
3 of the
name is
guys
called
from SK Gaming and 2 of the guys from Cloud9's
from
winning
Cloud9,
major
right?
team. Yeah.
So they basically took the 3 best from SK, they took the 2 best from Cloud9, and they put them together, and everybody in the CS:GO scene was not shocked or not anything like that. I don't know the right word that I want to say, but I guess afraid that these guys were just going to stomp on all of the competition, because you're putting these amazing players all together. Now, with any super team, if you remember when they first were created, and this happens with any team when they first come together, this happens with any team when they first come together, is they didn't really click. They didn't connect as well as everybody thought they would. But it takes time for all of these star-studded players to, realistically play together, play as a team, and not just try to outfrag one another and be the best.
Well, also you've got a situation with MIBR where you got three guys that have spent the last few years communicating in Portuguese, and two guys coming in from the United States. So there's language barriers there.
Yep.
And the other thing is like in CS:GO specifically, actually, you can't just throw 5-star players together and expect them to work. Because the reason that players are star players is that they'll have a supporting cast. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, most movies that are really fucking phenomenal have like two lead actors, like the hero and the heroine, with a great supporting act that make them out to be the heroes and heroines that they actually are. It's very rare indeed that you throw together a bunch of fucking superstars and it works out. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at the Avengers, for fuck's sake. You got, Robert Downey Jr., ScarJo, these huge absolute, like, top of the billboard sort of actors. But like, Jeremy Renner, he was a fucking nobody before the Avengers. Do you know what I mean?
Yep,
like,
he was.
Chris. Fuck, I always forget his surname. Captain America, anyway.
Oh, Captain America. Okay.
Yeah. He'd been in some good films and whatnot, but he wasn't fucking like celebrity A-lister at the stage when he started off in the in those. Chris Evans, thank you very much, Trevor. I had Chris Pine in my head, and I knew it wasn't Chris Pine. It's just sometimes you need to have a supporting cast. So you brought up Merber, and I think sort of MIBR, however people want to pronounce it. Much the same as I say Heezy, it's the same sort of thing. But I think that's a fairly good example of a modern day interpretation of it. Interestingly enough, I think it was April this year, maybe
they came
March.
Together?
Yeah, when they brought together the new FaZe Clan roster, which was Rain, who's historically been with them, but they brought in Nico, who is arguably one of the best players in the world.
Yep.
In my humble opinion, I think he's
even statistically, yes. Like, I mean, the kid he's crazy. I don't mean to call him a kid, but he is crazy at CS:GO.
I mean, he's 21, so he is a kid in the whole scheme of things. But like, I mean, he's there's a lot of arguments between like him or Simple for being best players in the world. I can argue both. Like, Nico is an absolute god, though, in the whole scheme of things. You got Carrigan, who joined into the roster and whatnot.
Carrigan, he came from Astralis.
Yeah, Astralis. I think he moved over to FaZe Clan back in 2016, maybe 2017, if my memory serves me correctly.
Was it that long ago, man?
Yeah, but then you've got Guardian that joined from Na'Vi, and you've got Olaf Meister, obviously, who moved over from Fnatic. Okay, now this is if you just look at it, you've got Carrigan, who's arguably one of the best in-game leaders of all time. Certainly one of the best in-game leaders to have never won a major.
Yep, that's fair to say. Yeah.
You've got Nico, who we've just discussed is one of the top 2 players in the world right now.
Yes.
You've got Guardian, who is widely respected as one of the greatest AWPers of all time. You've got Olaf Meister, who at his peak was the best player in the world. Back when he won his 2 majors with Fnatic, he was one of the best players of all time.
And he could do anything. He was support player, he was fragger, he could be an opper. He literally could do anything. Back at his peak, it didn't matter what position you need him in, he could do it.
Yeah, he was godlike, and on occasion still is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you see those little flashes of what he used to be.
Yeah.
Not to say that he's not good now, but I mean, back then he was godlike. Like you said, he was godlike. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a position on train which is called Olaf.
Exactly.
All right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you've got Rain, who is just about the most consistent, least selfish player that I think I've ever come across in the game. The guy is, I mean, just the ultimate. He's the Jeremy Renner, the Hawkeye of FaZe Clan. Do you know what I mean? The guy that you always want. He's just so freaking good. Do you know what I mean? He's just a great support player in terms of what he's doing. So they built together a super team.
Yep.
Now, FaZe Clan have actually won a number of events over the last couple of years. You still to get their major. Maybe this time around will be
Maybe
their turn. I think
they've been very close.
actually. I haven't actually seen the results for today. I've been casting all day because it was the major playing in London today. Let me go and have a check because I think they were due to play against Astralis today.
Yeah, I actually didn't look at that either. I probably should.
So Merba beat Complexity, Navi beat Big. It's today. They're playing against Astralis later on today, i.e. tomorrow for us guys.
Yo, Ton, see you later, dude. Have a good night. Sorry, Daniel, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, sorry, man. Don't worry about it. Ton, it's cool to have you around, man. Thanks for joining in this evening. It's cool to have you here, man. I really mean it. But historically though, like super teams have never really done it in esports.
Mm-hmm.
The SK team of CS 1.6 was built, with the notion of being a super team, and actually it was never as good as the sum of its parts.
Yep.
The Alliance roster of League of Legends fame in Europe was, you had like Froggen and Wicked coming from CLG. You had Shook, the jungler, and a couple of other people joined into it. It was meant to be Reckless, of course, who moved over from Fnatic. It was meant to be this like fucking roster to slay all rosters. Never worked out. You saw the Chinese team of oh god, who the hell was it? Guangzhou, I think it was, or it potentially was RNG, which signed a mixture of Chinese and Koreans all together on one squad that, never picked up the results that it was looking for.
Right.
CSGO, like Merber, these three Brazilians, these two American guys, are looking pretty good. Maybe they need a little bit of time to settle in. Maybe Yanko, their coach, needs to do some more work with them. But they got pretty comfortably beaten in a couple of tournaments that they've played so far in, and
they have, yes.
They're not looking like the super roster that you would expect, if that makes sense. If you take the three best Brazilians in the world from what was the former #1 team in the world, winners of back-to-back majors, kick out the shit parts and add in the best Americans, you'd expect this to be a squad to smite.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it should, but it just hasn't happened. So my question is like like a super team's a whim, a dream?
For what we've seen so far in esports, I think yes. But I know we're not on the topic of actual sports, professional sports, specifically the NBA. We'll say, I don't know how many people follow it, and I don't want to get too far into it. And Jag actually, made a good point in chat, is Golden State, the Warriors, their basketball team, and they don't have a cap space, so they literally are just buying the best players. And I think in the last, I don't know the statistics, and someone in chat, if you know, you can, I could probably look it up real quick, but you can correct me, but I think out of the last 4 NBA majors, they've won 3 of them, and it's all just because they are a super team. They have the money to just continuously buy better players. So in terms of esports, where do I, feel that, super teams lie? I feel like they've been very unreliable so far. They're not really producing as much as people are expecting them to. Would I like to see a good, super team pop up that's kind of like, how the Golden State Warriors are? Maybe, but at the same time, that gets boring. Watching the same finals every year. They're going to be in it. They're good. So I would like to see one of these teams eventually work out, just to say that, yes, eventually it does work. But overall, I got to say, I'm not a huge fan of the super teams.
Okay.
I'm always sick of seeing the same thing over and over again.
Because GSW is an interesting sort of perspective. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They won the NBA in 2018, 2017, and 2015. Okay, so they missed 2016.
Did they go in 16?
No, 2016 was the Kobe victory, wasn't it? From, if my memory serves me right. But you are absolutely correct. We're talking Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins,
right.
And the roster, those 3 alone is pretty scary. But
right.
if you go into it, there's a deep roster there.
Very deep roster.
Yeah, and they have spent a lot of money on it. But it's interesting that you bring up GSW Golden State Warriors because Golden State also now um, own the franchise. They own one of the NALCS franchises, but they also own one of the Overwatch League franchises. So I'm curious to see how that sort of impact comes into it. Jag says they've been 4 straight and won 3 of them. They lost to the Cavaliers they lost to. It was Kobe Bryant's Cavaliers in 2016, isn't it?
Okay. So that's a good point that Jag's bringing up. And what I say that it gets, boring with these super teams is for 4 years in a row, it's going to be the same.
LeBron, fuck.
LeBron, you said Kobe. Yeah, but so for 4 years in a row, we've had Cavs versus Warriors. So you have 2 big teams. I wouldn't consider the Cavaliers a super team because they had LeBron and they had, to your point, they have that supporting cast behind them. LeBron is just that good of a player to get his team there. But the Golden State Warriors, they do just have that super team where they're all just there. So that's why I would say I'm a yes and a no. I know that's not the answer you're looking for. I'm a yes because I want to see one of these teams finally pay off. We haven't seen it work out really kind of anywhere. But I'm also a no because once it does work out, nobody wants to see the same 4 majors, same teams all the time, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, same ones over and over again. So I know that's not the straightforward answer you want because I'm yes and no. But if I have to pick one, the answer is no. I like having the variety. I like having other teams succeed. I want to see different people on the stage. You all right over there?
Yeah, sorry, it's my phone falling over as it does.
So, what are your thoughts on the super team then? Do you like them or not like them?
I mean, firstly, I'm all for the notion of wage caps and things. I don't like the idea of one single team being able to buy everything out. I had a long discussion with our team owner about a very similar concept, if that makes sense, which I just think, generally speaking, is pretty bullshit. But what I was going to say is that, and the reason I wanted to bring up this topic specifically for this evening, obviously this evening's been very Battle Royale focused, and I suspect a lot of these podcasts will be.
Probably will.
Is that the current scene as far as PUBG is concerned, I think has a lot of teams that are consistently in the top. Yep. So you've got Team Liquid and FaZe, the 2 European squads, who are time and time again there or thereabout in the tops of the numbers. You've got I guess included in that you also have to throw in Welcome to South George, albeit they've been a bit wobbly over the last 3 months.
Yeah, they have been a little bit.
Yeah, you got the what was Avangar and is now Navi squad from Russia that have always been there or thereabout. It may. I mean, you could probably include the Chinese Korean sort of teams, if that makes sense. The OMGs and the OMG. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But outside of that, there's not really that many teams that sort of have these consistent top performances. Certainly not to the same extent that FaZe and Liquid have done. I mean, FaZe finished top 5 in every major tournament that they took part in 2018 with their original roster.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so every major LAN event, I think they went to 6, it might be 7, in fact, LAN festivals, and they finished in the top 5 in all of them.
That's impressive. That's very impressive. I mean,
it's fucking ridiculous. Now, Liquid have finished 1st or 2nd in 3 out of the 5 that they've been to, which is also fucking insane.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, I kind of feel as though in some respects we might already be seeing some of that within, these sorts of teams or whatnot. And I wonder what it takes for is the skill level between a Liquid, for example, that significantly higher than what did you call your team? WoW, or what is it? WoW Gaming.
Team WoW.
Yeah, Team WoW.
I mean, yes. I mean, there has to be, right? Or we would be up there.
So what is the situation with regards to this? How is it? If we're to say that Liquid are a super team, okay. Particularly with the fact that they've just added fucking Sam T to Gem T, which I think is sick in its own right.
Right.
does that team have more skill than the next nearest man? Is James, for example, on Liquid just better at shooting than fucking Mole Man on Method, or like T-Bone on Alliance, or Drayden on Pittsburgh Knights? You know what I mean?
I think to an extent, the answer is yes, but it's not a very big skill gap, in my opinion. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but in my opinion, I think the answer is yes, but there's not a huge skill gap between those pro players. You gotta remember that PUBG is a very RNG heavy game, right? Mm-hmm. So, not to say that Liquid is just always picking the right spots. They have bad rotates. They have to fight the circle. They have to fight the blue. They're always, not everyone every game is going to pick the right spot every time. But I think that very little skill gap between those players during those times where they get screwed on the circle, or they got a bad position, or they got to cross this open field, that little bit is the change, because they can make those plays where, as a caster, you have those crazy, like, oh my god, that play just happened. Like, that's that difference with that skill gap. So, in my opinion, yes, there is a little bit of a difference between those players, and one is that much better just shooting, as you said. But it's not huge, but it that little bit just makes the difference in those scenarios.
So you think it's more the when life gives you lemons, make lemonade sort of situation. They are better in the shit than other teams are.
That many consistent top first and second places, you have to be, because with an RNG game, you don't just get it through being lucky. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, you have to be good.
Because I was talking to someone about it, and I was like, how do you fucking teach that? How do you even coach that?
That I don't know. I mean, from playing CSGO to now playing PUBG, not to say that, like, if I were to ever try my hand at coaching on either two, I don't want to, never even looked into doing it, but I could understand how you would be able to coach a CSGO team. It's set maps. You usually have places, I mean, I'm not trying to, dumb it down and say it's easy and anyone can do it, but from a very high level overview, you have set maps. You have the very obvious spots that players will stand. They might stand in this area. You want to do this flash to get you guys in, or this smoke to cover that cross, whatever. But for PUBG, I don't know. I don't know how you would even begin to coach that, because the plane path is always different. Your circles are always going to be different.
It's could never just 8 kilometers by 8 kilometers.
Yeah, like when you go into say Dust 2, you have 3-4 plays as a CSGO team you're going to run. When you load into Erangel, I mean, you might have to have 20 plays, if you want to call it, that you want to run based off the plane path, based off of the circle. Can
you imagine? Right, all right, we're going to drop down into Severny here. Oh, guys, we've got it on our own. This is fucking awesome. Right, loot up. Oh, there's only a buggy.
Yeah, only a buggy. So now 2 people are left behind.
Yeah, but hold on. This has always been a UAZ when we've trained.
Yeah, exactly. So... Yeah. For
now,
PUBG,
boy.
I have no idea how you begin to coach it or have plays, strats, any of that.
Yeah, man.
And I would love at some point, I mean, I don't know, maybe you have some connections. Maybe we can bring a third person on one of these times, and maybe we can ask that question. How do you guys run through, without giving anything away, how do you guys run through and practice, run scrims? Do you have set plays? I mean, from somebody that actually does it, we would like to see your insight, because
it's an interesting take, because the simple reality is I do know some people. I know a former League of Legends coach. I know a couple of CS:GO coaches. And Frost we could get in. He's a coach for a PUBG. Maybe it is something that we could sit and discuss with them and get a sort of a rounded perspective of it.
I think it'd be interesting.
It could be interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, what are we on? It is 2:47. We've been going at this for a couple of hours, man. Jesus.
2 hours now. Yeah.
Are you surprised that people are stuck around?
I am, because I feel like I understand that what this set is, the scenario. It's just kind of us talking, but I'm surprised this many people stuck around to listen to two idiots just kind of banter for 2 hours. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. This is what we got, the ability to fill time with nothing. Is it 2 hours 41 seconds?
Yep, there you go.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
Yep, I thought we would go about an hour. I was completely wrong.
Yeah, well, I did say to you on Discord the other day, man, I could probably talk on one of these topics for that. So
I know. I was like hitting you up on Discord. I was like, we need more topics. We had 3, and that's all we needed.
yeah,
2 hours.
Yeah, man. And seriously, some of those topics I cut short because they could have gone into like way more detail. Let me assure you.
Definitely.
But it's always good. Zootude says I only stayed for the sexy faces. I presume you're watching another stream at the same time with us in the background, are you?
Yeah, not looking at us.
It's all good. Well, guys, we are going to wrap this up here. This is going to be, I guess episode 1 of Wild Talk
Yes.
with me, the beautiful Challenger Mode Daniel, and Wild Bill TV.
Yep.
We'll definitely be doing some more of these. And we're actually genuinely curious to know if you guys got any suggestions when it comes to sort of like topics or content that you'd like to be covered. If you are, poke Bill, drop him a tweet or a message on Discord or something, and we'll put it into the list of things to discuss. Super appreciative of you guys like tuning in and sticking around for this one. We're probably, at least I would like to try and get this up onto YouTube as well and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, like all in all, it's been absolutely fantastic. Bill, thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you much, Daniel. Very much, Daniel. I appreciate it, and I think everything went well today. Thank you guys for being here. I do appreciate it. I'm going to actually stream after this as well. So, guys, stick around. I'll be playing some PUBG most likely. But Daniel, again, I appreciate you being here, and I think we had a good time tonight.
Yeah, Jag asks, what's your thought on the new Challenger Mode LoL tournament setup?
He probably doesn't know much about that. I mean, look at the background. Forget about that. He doesn't know much about Challenger Mode.
That's all right. That is top notch Twitch chat memeing there. To be honest with you, I'm really enjoying that one. But no, it's been awesome. So in which case, guys, it is super late here. I've got a couple of things that I need to do tomorrow as well. So I'm going to bid you all the best of love. So you guys take care of yourselves. Enjoy the games with Wild Bill TV, and just be thankful of the fact that because I'm not playing, someone ain't going to get run over.
Yes, that is right. Well, again, Daniel, thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. Have a good night, dude.
Yeah, you too, man. I'll catch you on the flip side.
All right, I'll see you later.